Previously, we began shaping William, a broke ex-con with the fighting skills of a drunk toddler, the survival instincts of a microwave, and the self-confidence of a damp sock, into the future emperor of the Wasteland. A guy who used to get bullied by his own reflection is now training to, one day, bully the entire Wasteland. In this episode, William pulls off his first major heist. It hasn't even been 10 days, and the foundation of a drug empire is already being laid, but the Wasteland doesn't hand out crowns for free. Death is just one bad step away. I've installed over 400 mods, and some of them are brutal. One of them, Universal Wasteland, basically turns the guards into psychic Karens. If you crouch inside city limits, straight to jail. Or worse, a lecture about loitering. Another mod, Legends of Kenshi, makes NPCs so overpowered, they don't fight you, they judge you. I picked a fight with one guy, and before he swung his sword, he sighed, like he was disappointed in my entire existence. William took one hit and folded like a cheap tent. So yeah, lesson learned. If they have fancy armor and no facial expression, run. So anyway, we were roaming through Hong, checking stores for better stealth gear. That's when I found it, Nomad Pants. And bro, these pants are broken. The stealth effect of these pants boosts your skill by 95 times. William didn't sneak past guards. He phased out of reality. These pants are banned in 14 dimensions. Still no shoes though. I needed speed buffs. So I kept William training overnight in Hong. Eventually, I ran into Karen. She's a cook, but not the helpful kind. More like, I'll poison your stew and call it seasoning. I couldn't afford to hire her, and she couldn't afford to tolerate me. She called me a beep sack. I didn't even know that was an insult. I had to Google it. Still hurts. Karen basically threatened William to get out of town. And since there were no good shoes in sight, we left. Not because we were scared. We just respected her culinary rage. I sent him to the big city of Heft, hoping for better luck. Nope, not even flip-flops. We were out here looking like a fugitive hobo cosplay. Then we risked a trip west toward Holy Nation territory. Just outside the city gates, we found two unconscious guys, and next to them, a pair of wooden sandals. Ugly, cheap, perfect, plus 10% speed buff. God bless the barefoot. With that, William was ready. We headed into the great desert. Sometimes in the chaos of it all, you just need a moment to breathe, a moment to enjoy the wind, the sand, the occasional scorpion trying to kiss your ankles. We ran into some bandits 2 or 3 times. One time, I wasn't paying attention and William ended up in the middle of a bandit camp. But by then, he was too fast. By the time they realized, he was already gone. Like my motivation to work out. We reached Okran's Shield by nightfall. The guard there stopped me like I was smuggling regrets. Spoiler, I was. I checked the bar hoping to find someone willing to join me for free. Nope, they wanted cash more than therapists. And William needs both. Then we headed south to a city called Bad Teeth. And wow, it was packed. Like a Chinese metro at 5 p.m. But somehow with less personality and more judgment. The whole place was either priests, racists, or some guy trying to sell me purity like it was on clearance. I walked into Bad Teeth, looking for allies. Walked out with regret, disappointment, and a freaking pamphlet on spiritual hygiene. Eventually we moved on, southward again. We found a remote outpost, and it was begging to be robbed. William's thieving skill was low, so I had him grind it up by picking up items and dropping them repeatedly. Hey, XP is XP. Then I started stealing for real, because drugs don't sell themselves. We hit the road toward the hub with backpacks full of stolen goods, hearts full of sin, and a dream to sell junk for profit. The true entrepreneurial spirit. Halfway there, I ran into some Holy Nation boys. Way off course, deep in enemy turf. Like finding a Jehovah's Witness at a Slayer concert. And trust me, these guys, they don't just want to bless you. They want to baptize your soul in unsolicited sermons and shove the book of Okran down your throat like it's a health potion. Refuse? They kill you. Peace and love and mandatory conversion. The classic Holy Nation welcome package. Since I wasn't in the mood for a surprise sermon and a forced circumcision, I accidentally lured them straight into a Holy Nation Outlaws patrol. Let's just say, Okran didn't pick up the phone that day. The Crusaders got shredded faster than vegan dreams at a Texas barbecue. Their captain was named Glue. What was his brother called? Duct Tape? He had a 500 cat bounty on his head. Not exactly retirement money, but hey, it buys lunch, maybe a bandage or two. I scooped his righteous body up, slung it over my shoulder like a holy sack of potatoes, and cashed him in at the nearest slammer. But the moment he woke up, the guy looked at me like I'd just stabbed his grandma. Call me a blood sack shit eater. I think that's Holy Nation for snitch. I talked to him again, hoping he'd say something useful. Maybe even join me. And thanks to Recruit Prisoners mod magic, he agreed. That's right, I turned his holy but into one of my crew. I got him beat up, imprisoned him, sold him for cash, and now he's my employee. Capitalism at its finest. His stats? He makes William look like a wet napkin. This guy's a beast. Anyway, it was finally time to sell the loot. I bounced between shops like a broke window shopper until I found a guy named Needles. 20,000 bounty, nerves made of broken glass, and attitude so sharp it could file your taxes. He stared me down and said, "Here's how this is gonna work, scrub. You're gonna get the beep out of my face, or I'll gut you like a fish and floss with your spine." Yeah, big fan of boundaries, that guy. William? My peaceful little peace pipe of a man? Nah, we dipped. If confrontation was a sport, William would play hide and seek professionally. And with that, we left the hub. It was time to head into the swamps, buy some drugs, make some cash, and maybe commit a war crime or two along the way. I went from village to village, peddling drugs like a medieval Breaking Bad. Imagine being so broke that your retirement plan involves smuggling opium to peasants who can barely afford pants. That was William. He wasn't just moving drugs, he was the supply chain, the whole chain, from mule to merchant. And every time he made a sale, he'd look over his shoulder like someone who just Googled, "How long do you go to jail for narcotics?" He wasn't paranoid, just realistic. The swamps weren't a place you visited. They were a place you survived. It's like someone looked at a jungle and said, "You know what this needs? More trauma, full of bandits, spiders, and things that bite before you even see them." I ran into a few bandits on the way. You know, the usual. By usual, I mean heavily armed maniacs who see you and immediately start speedrunning your funeral. They didn't want my money. They wanted my organs, preferably still warm. I didn't fight them. William ran. He's not a hero. He's a tax-evading, drug-smuggling, cardio champion. I was heading south toward my favorite city from the Universal Wasteland expansion mod. Because when you've been nearly killed by wildlife, robbed by bandits, and judged by swamp spiders, nothing hits like civilization. Or at least a town with plumbing. But on the way, I saw a fight break out, the kind that makes you wonder if loot is really worth dying for. Spoiler, it always is. I've been over to loot some poor soul who just lost a fight with gravity. And that's when hell burst from the dirt. Crabs, just boom, popped out like landmines with claws. William didn't scream, but I did. You ever try to loot a body and instead get chased by what looks like a seafood nightmare? It's like DoorDash for trauma. But somehow, I made it to the city. The good one. The rich one. This wasn't just any town, this was the town. Golden rooftops, high walls, and more money than morals. The guards had shinier armor than my future. And best of all, no bandits. Just snobs. And snobs don't bite. And that's when business boomed. I sold those drugs for 17 times the price. 17 times. That's not a sale. That's daylight robbery with a receipt. These people weren't just rich, they were desperate. The kind of desperate that turns mild stimulant into miracle cure. William walked out with more cats than he could carry. And for once, no one was trying to stab him. He was a businessman now, or at least a better-dressed criminal. Next time, we build a drug empire. Or die trying. Probably both. Bring popcorn. William's just getting started. Next episode, we build a base, start a gang, and maybe burn a few bridges. Literally. It only gets worse from here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching.